Picture the Caribbean in the early 18th century. The sea is calm. A heavily loaded merchant ship drifts through turquoise water, its hold packed with sugar, tobacco, and barrels of rum worth a small fortune in Europe. The captain scans the horizon, expecting another ordinary day at sea. Then he notices a dark shape in the distance, a single ship. Within minutes, he recognizes the black flag fluttering above its mast. There is still plenty of distance between them. No cannon has fired. No boarding hooks have been thrown, yet the captain gives an order that surprises even his own crew. Surrender. Years later, he would explain his decision in his ship's log. He did not write that the pirates had more guns. He did not mention a larger crew. Instead, he recorded something far stranger: the smell. According to his account, the unbearable stench drifting across the sea reached his ship long before the pirates did. That smell was enough to convince him resistance was hopeless. It sounds unbelievable today, but pirate ships during the Golden Age of Piracy were nothing like the clean wooden vessels shown in Hollywood films. They were floating worlds of mud, sweat, disease, violence, and survival. Yet they were also something completely unexpected. In many ways, pirate crews created one of the most democratic workplaces of the 18th century. To understand how that happened, you first have to understand who became a pirate. Contrary to popular stories, very few boys grew up dreaming of sailing beneath a black flag. Most pirates ended up there because every other path had failed. Merchant sailors worked brutal hours for miserable pay. Many captains beat their crews for the smallest mistakes, sometimes ordering dozens of lashes with a whip that could tear flesh from a man's back. Life in the Royal Navy was often no better. Although naval wages were slightly higher, discipline was relentless. Desertion could mean execution, and impressment allowed the British Navy to force ordinary men into military service whether they wanted to go or not. For thousands of sailors, piracy was not the adventure, it was the escape. Captured records from the early 18th century reveal surprisingly diverse pirate crews. English sailors worked beside Irish fishermen, Dutch navigators, French privateers, Africans, Native Americans, and men from ports scattered across Europe and the Caribbean. One captured pirate ship listed sailors from more than a dozen different nations. On land, these men might never have shared a meal. At sea, they depended on each other every single day. Historians estimate that roughly a quarter of all pirates during the Golden Age were black. Many had escaped slavery on Caribbean plantations, others had been freed after merchant ships were captured. Unlike most European colonies, pirate crews generally cared less about where a sailor had been born than whether he could fight, climb rigging, repair sails, or survive a storm. That did not make pirates heroes. They were still criminals who robbed ships, kidnapped crews, and sometimes committed terrible acts of violence. But life aboard a pirate vessel could offer opportunities unavailable anywhere else in the Atlantic world. Some black pirates rose to positions of authority. A few even commanded ships of their own, something almost unimaginable in a society where slavery dominated much of the Caribbean. Women were rare but not completely absent. The names in Bonnie and Mary Red have survived for centuries because both fought alongside male pirates during some of the most famous raids of the era. Witnesses described them carrying pistols and cutlasses into battle just like everyone else. During one attack, while several men reportedly hid below deck, one of the women shouted insults until they returned to fight. Whether every detail of that story is true remains uncertain, but contemporary court records confirm that women occasionally served as pirates despite the enormous risks. Perhaps the most surprising part of crew. For exhausted merchant sailors earning almost nothing, the choice was sometimes surprisingly easy. Historians estimate that many pirates began their careers after accepting exactly this offer. In that way, pirate crews constantly replaced the men they lost. But pirate life never lasted long. The average pirate survived only a few years before meeting an unfortunate end. Some died during storms, others were killed in battle, many suffered from disease long before reaching old age. Yet the greatest danger often came from within. Pirate crews celebrated loyalty, but that loyalty had limits. Governments offered enormous rewards for the capture of famous pirate captains. When enough money was involved, friendships disappeared. Many notorious pirates were eventually betrayed by members of their own crews hoping to receive a royal pardon or a generous reward. Justice aboard pirate ships could also be brutally efficient. Anyone caught stealing from fellow pirates, refusing to fight, or hiding part of the treasure faced severe punishment. The most feared sentence was marooning. The condemned sailor was abandoned alone on an isolated island with only a little food, a bottle of water, a pistol, and a single bullet. Whether that bullet was meant for hunting or for something far more desperate was left entirely to the unfortunate man. Those captured by naval patrols faced an even darker future. By the early 18th century, Britain had declared all-out war on piracy. Special courts were created to try captured pirates quickly. Many trials lasted only a few hours. Convictions were almost guaranteed. Executions became public spectacles designed to discourage anyone thinking of following the same path. Pirates were hanged near busy harbors where every passing sailor could see them. In some cases, their bodies were coated with tar and locked inside iron cages suspended above the shoreline. For months, the wind and salt air slowly reduced them to skeletons. The message was unmistakable. This is what happened to pirates. Popular culture later added many famous pirate traditions that never really existed. Walking the plank, for example, was extremely rare. Most troublesome prisoners were simply pushed overboard. The legendary maps marked with a giant axe also belong mostly to fiction. Historical evidence shows that pirates almost never buried treasure. Gold and silver rarely stayed in their hands for long. Most pirates spent their share within days on food, clothing, gambling, alcohol, or repairs before setting sail once again. The romantic image of hidden treasure was created long after the Golden Age had already ended. By the early 1730s, piracy in the Caribbean was collapsing. The Royal Navy expanded its presence across the Atlantic. Colonial governments coordinated their efforts, and safe ports where pirates once found shelter gradually disappeared. One by one, famous captains were captured or killed. The black flags vanished from the Caribbean. Merchant shipping returned to normal. At first glance, it seemed pirates had left almost nothing behind. Their fortunes disappeared, their ships rotted away, their names became legends. Yet historians have noticed something remarkable. Long before modern labor unions existed, pirate crews had already written contracts protecting workers. They elected many of their leaders, they voted on important decisions, they guaranteed compensation for sailors injured on the job. No government forced these rules upon them. The crews created them themselves because cooperation gave everyone a better chance of surviving. That does not erase the violence, theft, or suffering pirates caused. They were criminals, not heroes, but history is rarely as simple as legend. The real pirate ship was not a floating adventure filled with buried treasure and talking parrots. It was a dangerous, filthy, overcrowded workplace where survival depended on discipline, cooperation, and constant risk. Every sunrise could bring fortune, every sunset. Life aboard a pirate ship was difficult enough before a battle even began. But surviving the sea was only half the challenge. The real purpose of every voyage was simple. Find a valuable ship before supplies ran out. Unlike the movies, pirates did not spend every day chasing merchant vessels across the Caribbean. The Atlantic Ocean was enormous, and even busy shipping lanes could seem empty for days. Many pirate crews sailed for weeks without spotting a single worthwhile target. Success depended on information. Long before leaving port, pirate captains built networks of informants throughout the Caribbean. Corrupt harbor officials secretly sold shipping schedules. Tavern owners overheard conversations from wealthy merchants. Sailors, dock workers, and even respected businessmen occasionally passed along valuable information in exchange for a share of the profits. Pirates knew which ships carried sugar, tobacco, silver, spices, or expensive textiles. They knew when treasure fleets departed and where they were most likely to pass. Armed with this information, pirate crews positioned themselves near narrow sea passages such as the waters around the Bahamas or the Windward Passage between Cuba and Hispaniola. Instead of wandering aimlessly across the ocean, they waited where merchant ships had little choice but to sail. Patience often paid off. When a target finally appeared, pirates avoided revealing themselves too early. Many ships approached under the flags of friendly nations, allowing nervous merchant captains to believe everything was normal. Only when escape became nearly impossible did the pirate captain order the black flag to be raised. The famous Jolly Roger was more than a symbol, it was a warning. Surrender now or face the consequences. Despite their terrifying reputation, pirates rarely wanted a fight. A merchant ship damaged by cannon fire lost much of its value. A ship that sank beneath the waves was completely worthless. The ideal victory was one in which the enemy surrendered without firing a single shot. That is why pirate captains carefully built their terrifying image. No one understood this better than Edward Teach, remembered today as Blackbeard. Before battle, Blackbeard tied slow-burning fuses into his thick black beard and lit them. Smoke surrounded his face, making him appear almost supernatural through the clouds of gunpowder. Other pirates wore bright clothing, waved several pistols at once, shouted in different languages, and fired cannons into the air simply to create confusion. Fear was one of their most powerful weapons, and very often, it worked. Many merchant captains surrendered immediately rather than risk the lives of their crews. If negotiations failed, the attack happened with astonishing speed. Heavy iron grappling hooks crashed onto the enemy's deck, locking the two ships together. Within seconds, pirates rushed across wooden planks or swung through the air on thick ropes. Most carried short curved cutlasses designed for close combat. Several loaded flintlock pistols hung from belts across their chests. Reloading a pistol during battle took too long, so experienced pirates simply carried multiple firearms instead. Others wielded boarding axes capable of breaking open cabin doors or smashing through defenses. Some crews even threw crude grenades made from glass bottles packed with gunpowder, nails, and scrap metal. The explosions were small, but inside the cramped deck of a wooden ship they created panic and confusion. Fortunately for both sides, most battles ended quickly. Many lasted less than 15 minutes. Once resistance collapsed, the surviving merchant sailors gathered on deck while pirate officers searched the cargo. Food, medicine, weapons, clothing, navigation charts, and alcohol often proved more valuable than gold itself. Money could not keep a crew alive at sea, fresh supplies could. Captured sailors then faced an important decision. Some were released at the next port. Others received an unexpected offer: join the pirate. Pirate life had nothing to do with treasure or combat, it was paperwork. Before a new crew left port, every pirate agreed to a written set of rules known simply as the Articles. Each man accepted them before joining the voyage. The Articles explained exactly how stolen wealth would be divided, what punishments existed for theft, gambling, or fighting fellow crew members, and what compensation a sailor would receive if he was injured during battle. This was extraordinary for the early 18th century. Merchant sailors signed almost nothing. Royal Navy crews had virtually no rights. Pirates, of all people, created contracts that protected ordinary workers. Many pirate codes promised generous payments to anyone permanently injured in combat. A sailor who lost an arm or a leg could receive compensation worth many years of wages earned on a legal merchant ship. Some historians even described these agreements as an early form of disability insurance. Leadership worked differently as well. Unlike naval captains, pirate captains usually did not rule absolutely. Most were elected by the crew. If enough sailors lost confidence in their captain, they could vote to replace him. Important decisions, including whether to attack dangerous targets, were often decided collectively rather than by a single officer. This system was not based on kindness. It was based on survival. Every pirate depended on every other pirate. A reckless captain could get everyone killed, but democracy had limits. The same Articles that protected injured sailors also imposed ruthless punishments. Anyone caught stealing from fellow crew members might lose their share of treasure. Others were whipped. The harshest offenders could be marooned on an isolated island with only a pistol, a small amount of food, and little hope of rescue. Pirates demanded loyalty because their lives depended on it. Then came the reality hidden beneath the deck, the place where every romantic story about piracy begins to fall apart. Below deck, there was almost no fresh air, no privacy, no comfort. The wooden hull trapped heat and moisture day after day beneath the Caribbean sun. Dozens of men slept only inches apart in tightly packed canvas hammocks that swung with every wave. Rats lived everywhere. They chewed through ropes, climbed inside food barrels, and spread disease across the ship. Fresh water spoiled quickly inside wooden casks, often becoming foul after only a short time at sea. Bathing was rare. Most pirates spent months without washing properly. Some waited for tropical rainstorms to rinse salt from their skin. Others scrubbed themselves with coarse sand and seawater, leaving painful sores instead of clean bodies. By the end of a long voyage, the smell aboard many ships was almost impossible to describe. It was a mixture of sweat, damp wood, spoiled food, gunpowder, livestock, mold, and sickness. For many merchant crews, that smell became the first warning that pirates were approaching. And conditions were only about to get worse, because surviving the ship itself was one challenge. Finding enough food, clean water, and a prize worth risking your life for was another entirely. Could bring disease, betrayal, battle, or the gallows. Perhaps that is why the Golden Age of Piracy continues to fascinate people more than 3 centuries later. Not because pirates were noble, but because their world was far more complex than the myths that replaced it. Behind every black flag stood ordinary people making extraordinary choices in one of the harshest environments on Earth. And that reality is far more fascinating than fiction.